was some little thing, they indulged in some casa first, which generally meant the matter got decided on pretty damn quick since no one was usually in a mind to argue. If it was something important, then they refrained from casa on the grounds that they needed to think clearly. But if people were thinking clearly in different directions, then they might grind a few casa seeds, mix up the paste, and keep spooning it down until they were all so out of their heads that no one cared enough to argue about what they decided and just wanted to settle the thing plenty fast so they could really get stuck into the casa. Casa pretty much ruled out any necessity for nobles. Lamwa was sweeping now, and a more disputatious person than Managua might have felt that a disproportionate amount of dust from the hard earth floor was ending up on his books, but he simply brushed it away and got on with his work. Another meaning of noble was lofty, and cross-referencing in the dictionary told him this meant high or tall. So, for the second time, Managua had, "Is you be bigger man for put up with." It seemed to him that was what Shakespeare had in mind. And it would be understood, too. Managua was exceptional in height, as well as in literary ability. The islanders were not generally big, but rather of small stature and slim. Bigness impressed them, in body or in mind. "I is go enjoy slaughter that pig. I is go drink she blood like Coca-Cola. Oh yes," Lamwa was saying, as though to herself. Although he knew this was just for his benefit, Managua couldn't help flinching. But then his mind drifted, as he had observed the mind usually will, away from the unpalatable to something pleasurable. In this case, the other image conjured up by his wife's words. Coca-Cola. He hadn't felt the harsh tickle of its ice-cold bubbles against his throat for some 16 years. Not since the Americans left all that time ago. It presented a more powerful, as well as a more pleasing picture than the one of his wife drinking Cordelia's blood. The slings and arrows of outrageous fortune. Well, this was sure another damn difficult one. The islanders didn't use slings or bows and arrows and had no knowledge of these things. It was only through his extensive reading that Managua understood what they were. Here they used blowpipes and poison darts, although not at all since the Americans had come and destroyed the only other big village, which had been on the northern end of the island, rendering it permanently uninhabitable by establishing their firing range there and leaving it riddled with mines and unexploded shells when they departed. The sorry remnants of its inhabitants had had no option but to trek south and amalgamate with Managua's village, or disperse themselves among the various smaller settlements and hamlets scattered across the island, leaving Managua's people with no one to fight. He sighed at the thought of it. "I is hear you," shrilled Lamwa. "I is hear you make they lovesick sounds for you, old pig. What you is think of? You is dream of sneak off and make a fug-a-fug with you little pet again." "I is think about Americans," said Managua. "About how there is be two big villages before they has come." This was the wrong thing to say, especially in so wistful a tone. As a child, Lamwa had come from the northern village at the time of its evacuation. She lashed out with her broom, knocking his books from the upturned plastic crate Managua used as a desk. "I is see you is like they times back. You is like you wife at other end of earth, so you is never meet she, and you is free for make fug-a-fug with pigs. Oh yes, I is see right through you. You is be thin as water, not thick like Coca-Cola." Pleased with this last simile, she threw the broom triumphantly into the corner where it normally resided and stormed from the hut. The trouble was, thought Managua, as he rescued the books from the floor and restored them to his desktop, that while you could suffer or put up with slings and arrows, however painful, the same could not be said of poisoned darts, of which the tips had been dipped in the venom of the tarada, the green shoestring snake. Once it was in your bloodstream,